Yeah, I wonder what's making American Jews feel less safe. Is it Elon Musk throwing up a Sig Heil? Or is it their sons and daughters who are also Jewish at college campuses protesting against a foreign state? Much to consider here. I'm sure there are plenty of older American Jews who will say college campus protests are significantly more dangerous or whatever. I'm sure. But the reality is obviously very different.
In response to those anti-Israel protests on college campuses, the Justice Department announcing the formation of a multi-agency task force aimed to combat anti-Semitism in the U.S. My next guest says this is the, quote, first step in giving life to President Trump's renewed commitment to ending anti-Semitism in our schools. Senior counsel to the Assistant Attorney.
Yeah, that's what Trump is doing. Mr. Push BB's seat into his table, you know? Uncle of a friend got released after 23 years today, got some shawarma as soon as he left.
General of the Civil Rights Division, Leo Terrell, joins me now. And Leo, I believe this is your first television interview since leaving Fox News. We are so happy.
It's so crazy that the first time around, when all of the Trump supporters were like openly neo-Nazis, saying some of the most unhinged anti-Semitic shit, this administration defended them. And they still, to this day, obviously don't care about racism. They don't care about Nazis in general. But they do care about anti-Israel people. Like, how many open Nazis were invited to college campuses? How many times have Klansmen and open neo-Nazis defended Donald Trump, openly protested without fear of any sort of the Trump administration, gotten protected by the Trump administration? These people do not care about anti-Semitism. They only care about anti-Israel sentiment. Okay? That's it. Free speech, dude? Yeah, exactly. Free speech, dude. That's right. Free speech, brother. Free speech. No speech when it comes to hurting big bad Israel's feelings, though. Elon Musk throws up a Sig Heil, a fat Sig Heil, but he's pro-Israel, so it's all right. You could be a Jewish campus protester against Israel. That's the most anti-Semitic thing I've ever seen. You need to go to prison right now. And it's crazy because your parents kind of agree with this shit too, most likely. They have no way of comprehending this.
To have you on the program today. Thanks for coming.
Well, thank you very much. And I left the great company, Fox News, and for a job from the greatest, in my opinion, in my lifetime, the greatest president to give me a chance to serve this country. And I'm working for a great attorney general, Pam Bondi, in basically eliminating this dual system of justice and providing justice in this country again.
So, Leo, tell us about this task force, which is coordinated under the auspices of the DOJ's Civil Rights Division. What's the goal here?
Very simple, Anita, and thank you for that question. First of all, everyone in this country saw what happened the last 3 or 4 years. Jewish Americans were ignored by the federal government, ignored by local officials. Jewish American students couldn't go to school without being harassed. It happened across this country. Pam Bondi has created a task force to combat anti-Semitism, and I'm privileged to head that task force. What that means, Anita, is that we're going to use every tool in the toolbox, civil, criminal activities, to stop the harassment of Jewish students. We're going to cut off funding. We're going to do everything, and we're formulating that right now.
Yeah, to your point, we all remember what we saw on college campuses across the country, from Columbia University to UCLA. I believe we have the video where Jewish students were literally barred from going to class by pro-Palestinian protesters, in some cases pro-Hamas protesters. No one, there you go, look at that. Yeah. No one seemed to be doing anything about it, and we heard very little from the last administration on why this was so wrong. So how is this going to change now?
Well, you heard crickets from the last administration, and in those protests, I was embarrassed to see my law school, UCLA, allow this type of harassment going on. And Columbia University, how it's going to stop is very simple. We're going to cut off their funding. We're going to take criminal activity against those protesters. We're going to alert these blue cities that allow this. You have to get actively involved. This is the mission that Pam Bondi have given me to proceed with. And we have the education department, Anita, health and human services involved. This is a joint task force to stop this. And I would tell the Jewish community, help is on the way, because Pam Bondi wants to make sure everyone is treated fairly in this new Department of Justice, and that's what we're going to accomplish.
Yeah, the Jewish community is still very concerned about the way Jewish students, Jewish people in general, have been treated in this country over the last year. I want to bring your attention and put up on the screen some statistics from a brand new study.
Dude, no free speech. We are making protests illegal. We're making protests illegal. They literally sent cops. By the way, when this guy says, oh, the Biden administration didn't prosecute these people, like 3,100 arrests, more arrests on college campuses of students than arrests at January 6th. I want someone to love me as much as America loves Israel. You'll never find that. I hate to say it, but that kind of love does not exist. It's like loving your own arm. I don't understand how nobody looks at this and goes, hey, maybe this is a little too far. Hey, perhaps we should dial this back 1,000 steps. Hey, perhaps maybe this is completely unacceptable. Nope, it's great. All systems go, baby. The guy who's leading the task force is a regular retweeter of the Stop Anti-Semitism account. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm going to jail.
Study that's coming out. This is from the American Jewish Committee. They're going to publish a study later this week. Here's some of it. This is the state of anti-Semitism in America. Look at this. 90% of American Jews believe anti-Semitism has increased since the October 7th tragedy. 61% say anti-Semitism has increased a lot. And then look at this next statistic here. 77% of American Jews, they feel less safe in the U.S., according to this study. Leo, when you look at these numbers, these numbers are overwhelming.
I find them offensive. And I'll tell you right now, those numbers are supported, Anita, by FBI numbers that I've seen. That October 7th massacre is the situation that prompted these increased numbers. But I can't stress it enough. This is going to stop immediately, because the Department of Justice, again, Pam Bondi, have said everything we have to use to stop this and deter this conduct is going to happen, and it's going to happen now.
Yeah, I wonder what's making American Jews feel less safe. Is it Elon Musk throwing up a Sig Heil? Or is it their sons and daughters who are also Jewish at college campuses protesting against a foreign state? Much to consider here. I'm sure there are plenty of older American Jews who will say college campus protests are significantly more dangerous or whatever. I'm sure. But the reality is obviously very different. People who protest against Israel are not threatening your lives. Okay? People who are overtly and openly anti-Semitic, and protesting against Israel is not anti-Semitic, but people who are overtly and openly anti-Semitic, those people are threatening you.
And I tell you right now, that is a joint task force by all agencies in the government to stop anti-Semitism.
And Leo, while I have you here, I just want to ask you very quickly. President Trump says he plans to create a White House faith office while directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to lead a task force aimed to eliminate what he called anti-Christian bias within the federal government. In the last 20 seconds, what can you tell us about that?
Let me tell you right now, everyone in this country knows that one of the greatest things about this country is the fundamental right of free expression and free religion, freedom of religion. And what has happened in the last 3 or 4 years, Christians and Catholics have...
Yeah, that's why if you are Muslim, you can't be that way. Not allowed. Dude, people thinking that there's any sort of anti-Christian bigotry in this country are so f***ing delusional, okay? I won't say the same, obviously, about anti-Semitism, but the notion that there is any sort of anti-Christian hatred being expressed in a way where there's like any sort of systematic oppression of Christians in this country, they are out of their f***ing minds, okay? You are quite literally the most insane person on the planet.
Been basically...
These guys think that like there's a war on Christmas happening. We are at the whims of people who are hallucinating an alternative reality. Oh, my Lord.
Attacked by this government. We're going to stop it. And that's why President Trump tasked Pam Bondi to take care of it. I can assure you, knowing Pam, we're going to box.
The irony here, of course, is that anti-Christian attacks are always done on the basis of, like, I can't be openly racist. Okay? In a nation that is predominantly Christian, the only thing that these guys have as far as like anti-Christian hatred is that people have freedoms. Okay? That's it. And those freedoms are being denied as well. It's not like people still maintain those freedoms, like abortion, for example. All right? They literally think gay people existing in society is a direct attack against Christians. That's what they mean when they say anti-Christian hatred. That's what they're talking about. There's never any real anti-Christian hatred happening in this country. It's a Christian nation, okay?
To address this bias against Christians, Catholics, all religions, Anita, everyone should be treated fairly and equally, and that's one of the reasons why I'm proud to work in the Department of Justice.
All right. Leo Terrell, in his first appearance, as he is in his new job with the Department of Justice and the Civil Rights Division. Leo, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anita. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Mike?